Well, today, as I walk through the center of Prague, I wanted to talk about the Romani people, illegal migration, modern sports, and how these three things are linked together. And you might be thinking that I'm either a weirdo or have some mental deficiency, but you might be right actually. My point is that if you ever stepped into any European city, anywhere for real, could be Portugal, France, Czechia, Romania, UK, whatever. The one thing you'll see there, and that I personally haven't seen anywhere else in the world, is how the Romani people are marginalized and pushed out of the rest of society. If you don't know who the Romani are, you might know about them as gypsies. Of course, I might just be a stupid as ignorant, but even the racial issues that I see happening in the US, or the whole favelas thing and the tough reality in Brazil, they are not similar to how much Europe just does not give a single fuck about the Romani people who have been living and being part of the whole continent and culture of it for centuries. Okay, and you might bring all of your European excuses saying that this happens because they are the ones who caused the trouble or that they don't want to be part of the culture or whatever other lie you might keep for yourself to make you go to bed at night comfortable, believing that this discrimination is justifiable. But even though the story behind this is crazy with different scandals in so many countries, like Romani kids being separated from other kids in school, or even Romani women being sterilized against their will by the government powers just to, quote unquote, stop reproducing the race. What also made me kind of intrigued about this situation is how this could happen in so many different countries and cultures that label themselves as Christians, which is the one religion of inclusion, if you ask me. For those who do not see Christianity as the religion of inclusion, I can just tell this quick story to help you understand why at least it should be. The thing is that the Bible is divided between the Old and New Testaments, right? The old one is the kind of rule book followed by Jews before Jesus came to life. And the new one talks about his story and teachings, becoming the base of Christianity. Basically, Jesus came to earth to break these boundaries that the Old Testament had, limiting this culture of salvation from God for the Jews who followed the Jewish laws, like reserving the seventh day of the week, or the Shabbat, or many other traditions this culture still has until today. But as I said, Christianity is supposed to be the religion of inclusion. After all, just as Jesus himself did, it should not matter if you are an Arab, Jew, African, or whatever else. We are all sons and daughters of God, and according to the Christian tradition, it is through our faith in Jesus Christ that we can achieve this salvation. Besides that, he showed us that we are all sinners. Yes, all of us, including you and me. And I am sorry to tell you this, but bro, your mom's a sinner, you know? Everyone is. And since we are all corrupted by sins, we have no right to be judging others and their sins, you know? It's pure logic. Otherwise, we'll be just hypocrites. Only God can do that. And of course, over time, there were many situations where especially the church itself contradicted this kind of thought by persecuting and even executing people that wouldn't follow its laws. But this is something I talked about in my last video. But by now, in the 21st century, not only this concept of Christian inclusion makes me confused when seeing how the Romani are treated in Europe, but also because of the whole talk in the Western world about inclusiveness and thoughtfulness and how this became a thing while completely ignoring these people. Take the UK or, I don't know, Germany for example. They are so into this inclusiveness that they are even letting the illegal immigrants take control over their own country. So why would it be a problem to offer better support to change the reality of the Romanis who have been part of their culture for way longer than these newcomers, you know? And for me, this has only one explanation: the spiritual warfare that we are currently living in. To not limit this theory to a Christian perspective, saying it is the devil, Satan himself, or I don't know, whatever other freaking malevolent creature that hunts our spirits. Let's just say is the influence of the evil energies that have been prevailing around the world. The way I see it, this spiritual warfare is a hidden conflict that we all have been fighting now. And this happens in so many different ways of our lives that I could not even cover it all in a YouTube video like this. But we can see this situation with illegal immigrants in Europe, for example. I understand the speech of offering a home for those who are endangered in their home country, but we know that this is not the case for many of those coming in. And as a consequence, people start to talking about how Europe is losing itself to Islam and these other cultures. But that's the point, even for Islam, I mean the real Islam that preaches for the peace and good in the world. This situation is way more harmful than beneficial for them too. The few ones who bring up violence and the terrible practices we see in the news happening more and more often are not only doing this disservice to the community of Islamic traditions, but they are also kind of a nest where more and more hate is born. And I'm not just talking about the hate from these country invaders who are committing these crimes. This hate is also being planted in the so-called Christians and other Europeans against the Islamic people and against one another, just fighting on disagreements between what should be done with these immigrants or whatever other political topic that they discuss. You might even say that this is a result of a bunch of coincidence, which might even be, but the fact is that we are all facing this spiritual battleground that is being controlled by hate, which is one of the worst forms of energy that we can propagate and absorb, corrupting our entire environment. But this warfare is not something happening only in this field or subject of immigration and the hate between political opinions. This could be called more of, let's say, a battle, where the goal would be to bring peace to people's heart while also dealing with the best decisions for each issue that they discuss. Okay, it can happen. But the warfare is much worse than just a battle. It is something that intoxicates nations everywhere. Humankind seems to be getting more and more corrupted by their own superficial desires. In Buddhism, the escape from suffering and spiritual progress could be kind of associated with the salvation that we talk about in Christianity, for example. And for them, all the hate, greediness, and all of these kind of actions that are popularly known as sins, they are also seen as a problem that hinders one's spiritual progress. But it is normal. I said it just now, how we are all sinners and this is inevitable. We all fight against this according to each one's belief. If it is praying for Jesus, if it's meditating or following Sharia law, it doesn't matter. The problem is not that we've been corrupting ourselves with these sins, but the fact that more and more of this evilness that is expelled from this kind of energy seems to be ruling almost everything we see. It feels like there is no escape. Even when we want to just sit on a couch on a Sunday afternoon to watch football match on the TV. I am saying this because even sports bets, which have existed for years, seems to be taking more control over people. To be honest, I used to be way more into football when I was younger, or soccer, right? But I still take a look into what's going on every now and then. And even among my friends or other people that I know, it feels like they are not able to enjoy the entertainment of watching a match without betting into who they think is going to win. It's already part of the whole ceremony. It's like a must-do. And all the dots kind of connect when we see how stupid it is, the amount of different betting houses that sponsors and finances every kind of sports events possible. If you talk about esports then, the gaming ones, sheesh. I worked in that industry for a while and I still have the theory that most of the gaming tournaments are financed by the gambling addiction of the few ones who watch it. If not for some other more shady reason. But if you'd like me to talk more about it, you can say something in the comments and we leave it for another video. My point is that betting in sports is a clear sign of relating yourself with evil energy. There's nothing good coming from it. And I'm not even gonna bring the argument of greediness to make some extra cash. You don't even have to count with this one. But sports bets are just like the first step into gambling addictions that just extract all kinds of aura from us. And yeah, I know that aura is more of a TikTok slang nowadays, but I just couldn't think about any other word for it now. But as you should know, anything that is as addictive as this brings a heavy energy for our lives. It brings dependency and suffering from an unfulfilling desire of always wanting more. So when people can't escape this spiritual warfare, when they are looking at their society, working on their lives, and even just trying to relax in their free time, it means that this is time to wake up and start to take control of our lives back. There is this great phrase that I read the other day saying that committing a sin feels like freedom until we try to stop it. By sin, we can also call it short-term desires, which simply control us without even knowing. You can take the approach that you want on that. If it is a mindful exercise of you controlling yourself or fighting against the devil that forces you to sin, whatever. The only thing that I would not suggest you to resist against is this undeniable need that you're feeling right now to subscribe to the channel. I know you want it. You waited so long for this moment. So go ahead, enjoy it. I won't tell anyone.